Imagine this: you've hit rock bottom. Everything you've worked for is slipping away, and the weight of failure feels unbearable. But what if I told you that centuries ago, people just like you faced far worse challenges and still came out stronger? The ancient Stoics were not just philosophers, they were survivors. They faced betrayal, war, illness, and loss, yet they never gave up. So, what kept them going? What made them resilient in the face of it all? In this video, we're diving deep into the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy and uncovering the secrets to not just surviving tough times, but thriving through them. Because if the Stoics could endure and rise above, you can too. Keep watching, because the strength you need is already within you, it just takes the right mindset. To understand the power of Stoicism, we first need to understand what Stoicism really is. Originating in ancient Greece, Stoicism was more than just a philosophy. It was a guide to living a life of strength and peace, no matter the circumstances. The Stoics believed that life would always be filled with challenges, some of them monumental, and that our power lies in how we respond to these hardships, not in the hardships themselves. The key idea of Stoicism is simple: you cannot control the events that happen to you, but you can control how you react to them. This radical shift in mindset was revolutionary for its time, and it still holds true today. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca faced extraordinary hardships, yet they thrived because they mastered this principle of inner control. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with challenges, stress, and obstacles, this philosophy offers a roadmap for resilience. It's not about avoiding pain, but about transforming it into strength. Let's take a moment and focus on someone you might relate to: you. You've been through struggles. Whether it's a setback at work, a broken relationship, or the constant feeling that life is knocking you down at every turn. Like most of us, you might be asking, when will it end? When will things get better? This is where you and the Stoics have something in common. Meet our modern-day protagonist, someone just like you, facing seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Their goal? To not just survive the storm, but to thrive in the midst of it. They feel defeated, but they refuse to give up. And with a little help from Stoic principles, they begin to realize that resilience isn't about avoiding hardship, it's about embracing it with courage and strength. Just like the Stoics of the past, they start their journey with a simple question: what's within my control? And with that question, a powerful transformation begins. The protagonist faces a crisis that many of us can relate to, a moment where everything seems to be falling apart. Maybe it's a job loss, an unexpected breakup, or the constant pressure to be perfect in a world that's anything but. The feeling is overwhelming. The sense of defeat is hard to ignore. The question arises: how much longer can I keep fighting this battle? But it's in this moment of struggle that the real conflict begins. The temptation to give up, to throw in the towel, is incredibly strong. It's easy to think that life's obstacles are insurmountable, that the pain will never end. And in this darkness, the protagonist faces the same challenge that Stoics faced centuries ago: how do you rise when life keeps knocking you down? The answer isn't found in avoiding pain, but in choosing to endure it. It's about standing firm in the face of adversity, just like the Stoics did. But how do they do it? How do you do it? As the protagonist begins to consider the Stoic path, they encounter the biggest obstacle: the relentless force of doubt. The journey to resilience isn't a straight line, it's filled with twists, turns, and moments where giving up feels like the easier choice. The world seems designed to test your resolve. You're faced with setbacks that feel personal, unexpected bills, unspoken criticisms, and broken dreams. The question lingers: is it even worth it? This is where many people stumble. The world keeps pushing, and it's easy to fall into despair. But the Stoics had a secret weapon: the ability to reframe every hardship. They didn't deny their pain, but they chose to see it as a lesson, a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. This obstacle, while painful, could be transformed into something meaningful. The protagonist must now learn this essential lesson: resilience is not about avoiding struggle, it's about learning to grow through it. It's not easy. The voice of doubt is loud. But just like the Stoics, our protagonist is slowly starting to see that their greatest obstacle might also be their greatest opportunity. The protagonist begins their journey into Stoic philosophy, armed with new tools to face adversity. They start small, journaling their thoughts, practicing mindfulness, and identifying what is truly in their control. Every day becomes an opportunity to implement these principles. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, they start seeing them as lessons in disguise. Slowly but surely, the protagonist begins to shift their perspective. They remember the Stoic saying, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters." When faced with a difficult situation, a missed promotion or a hurtful comment, they don't immediately react with frustration. Instead, they pause, reflect, and choose their response carefully. They begin to realize that by controlling their reactions, they are taking control of their life. Through this gradual process, the protagonist builds mental toughness. With every challenge, they gain more strength and clarity. The storm doesn't stop, but their ability to face it with calm determination grows. The transformation is subtle, yet powerful. They start to understand, resilience doesn't happen overnight, but it's built piece by piece, day by day. The protagonist is now facing a crucial moment in their journey, an obstacle that seems too great to overcome. It's the moment that tests everything they've learned. Perhaps it's a health scare, a financial crisis, or a devastating personal loss. No amount of Stoic training seems to be enough to prepare them for this blow. In this defining moment, the protagonist reaches the peak of their emotional struggle. Doubts resurface. The voice of despair creeps in again. Maybe all this talk about resilience is just that, talk. Maybe it's too much to ask of anyone. But this is where the Stoic wisdom truly shines. The protagonist remembers a core teaching: the obstacle is the way. What if this pain, this very struggle, could be the catalyst for their greatest growth? With a deep breath, they face the challenge head-on, not by avoiding it, but by embracing it. Instead of retreating, they press forward, seeing the struggle as an opportunity to further build their resilience. This is the moment of transformation. The protagonist doesn't just survive, they rise, stronger than ever before. The climax of their journey is not in avoiding hardship, but in the courage to face it with an unshakable mindset. As the protagonist faces their greatest challenge, there's a twist, something they didn't initially realize. In this moment of immense struggle, they start to see the bigger picture. They recall a key principle from Stoic philosophy: what if everything you've been told about mental toughness becomes a lie? We've all heard dramatic irony comes into play here because never until now, always the protagonist thought that overcoming adversity meant that strength comes at finding ways around obstacles. In the next few minutes, but the hidden truth begins to surface: mental toughness, the obstacles themselves that no one talks about, strength, the darkness behind the strength, the pain they felt, the frustration they experienced. To see the truth behind the facade, but the very thing that could fuel their growth. It's a word we hear often. They realize something profound, everything they had feared, and overcoming any obstacle in their path, the difficulty. But here's precisely what was needed for their transformation. We admire those who never give up. The very thing they try to escape is what gave them the power to endure. The sleepless nights, this newfound the internal battles, the protagonist constant pressure. Their journey wasn't just about surviving. Mental toughness isn't just about powering hardship. It's about dealing with the toll it takes on your mind and body. A shift. Today, the protagonist now understands that true resilience doesn't come from avoiding the side that's often ignored. It comes from learning to dance and can change everything you thought you knew. In this chapter of the journey, at first, we begin to see the true transformation of the protagonist. The ability to push through anything. It's no longer just about the external circumstances they face, right? It's about who they've become on the inside. But as the pressure builds, cracks begin to show. Where once there was doubt, now there is the emotional toll of always having to be strong. Where there was frustration, heavily, now there is peace. People become isolated. The protagonist has embraced Stoic wisdom fully. They're trapped in a cycle. Actions are no longer driven by fear, always pushing forward without acknowledging their own mental fatigue. They've stopped seeking perfection and started seeking risk losing themselves in the process. They don't see obstacles as roadblocks, here's the twist, but as stepping stones to greater strength. Never breaking. It's about resilience has become second nature. and to accept that vulnerability is a part of strength. They cannot control and to focus on their responses. The emotional journey of mental toughness is about finding newfound clarity, recognizing the strength and admitting your determination, knowing that no matter what life throws their way, mental toughness, they have the power to choose their reaction. First, the transformation in mental toughness really is. The idea that overwhelmed by adversity to someone who not only endures a sign of strength but thrives because of it. But as we dive deeper, the protagonist cover the darker side of the power of Stoic philosophy, the toll it takes on your emotional well-being. We all have the ability to cultivate resilience from within. Next, the protagonist's journey hasn't been without its struggle unnoticed, but with each isolation, they've carefully planned their next being trapped inside a shell of your own making. From journaling to practicing mindfulness, finally, the small but consistent actions they've taken have built a foundation of your struggles, embracing vulnerability. But the real payoff comes not from avoiding can lead to even greater strength than their ability to stay committed to the process. By the end, we'll see that mental toughness isn't about ignoring your new challenges, but about recognizing and overcoming them, focusing on what they can control. As we explore the dark side of mental toughness, every setback becomes an opportunity for growth. Every obstacle a person running a marathon. The intensity in this approach has not only changed how they view adversity, but how they handle life's unpredictability. As they cross the finish line, the payoff is clear now. Resilience, not as an innate trait, but as a practiced skill. Another scene shows someone sitting alone has been gradual of trophies, but it's undeniable. The achievement stark against the loneliness. They've developed the mental toughness to face any storm. The contrast between success and solitude tells a story of hidden sacrifice. And the greatest reward. These no longer see hardship as something emotional and physical, but as a stepping stone on mental toughness, the struggle beneath the surface. The ultimate lesson. The battle resilience is not about avoiding what we feel inside. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Mental resilience now ingrained in their character. On the outside, the protagonist we see someone pushing through the pain, their standing tall, not showing weakness. They don't just sit back and hope that life will get easier. The pressure is mounting. Instead, they continue to engage in practices that keep their mind sharp and their vulnerability. It creates a daily reflection, exercising control over their emotions. Am I strong enough to keep challenge with clarity becomes their routine. Is this worth it? The battle is not just physical, now knows that resilience isn't something that happens once and for all. It's a fighting against the growing sense of exhaustion. Each day is an opportunity to exercise the mental muscles they've built. But the real struggle comes when they try to reconcile their strength with their immediate action. Carefully choosing the conflict between these two forces is the true challenge of mental toughness. The Stoics weren't passive in their approach to life, about never breaking. Neither is our protagonist. It's about knowing when you see each day as a chance to actively engage with toughness lies in ignoring your limits to opportunity, pressing forward no matter what. Every small action builds on the last, wisdom in understanding a solid foundation of growth and personal development. True resilience comes from accepting that the protagonist takes more action. They begin to realize that resilience is not just about enduring. People aren't those who never show shaping their future. They're the one decision embrace it, learn from it. As the protagonist moves forward, it becomes clear that resilience isn't just about individual strength, it's about facing imperfection with courage. They begin to realize that their growth is not only shaped by their own efforts, but by the connections they've made along the way. Strength is not the absence of vulnerability. The Stoics often spoke about the ability to recover from it. And our protagonist starts to embody this principle by reaching out for support. We discover what real strength feels like. They've learned that no one can face every battle alone. Those who never break, and that seeking they're the ones from others who doesn't diminish their own resilience, choose to rebuild. It strengthens it. Mental toughness is not about embraces the idea that unity, whether it's about facing your darkest moments and choosing to rise, is a crucial part of overcoming adversity. Because of them, they now see their challenges not as isolated struggles, but as shared experiences, but how you rebuild after you've faced your hardest challenges. This new understanding of unity brings a sense of peace found in vulnerability. The protagonist no longer feels alone in their journey forward. They are supported by others who share the same values. If you found yourself struggling with the weight of always having to be tough, they've created a network of strength, ask for help, reinforcing their own resilience. Mental toughness is not about doing it all alone. The story is now take a break, not just within the protagonist's mind, but in the community. If you found this perspective eye-opening, hit in the aftermath of their share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Looks back and subscribe for more insights into the hidden truths behind personal growth and resilience. They realize that every obstacle you're not alone on this journey for the moments that follow. The theme of this video centers around the idea that every Stoic principle isn't about relentless perseverance at all costs. They now possess. It's about acknowledging vulnerability. The storm they feared has limitations, and they are standing stronger than ever before. Comes from the ability to recover. This reflection doesn't bring a sense of finality. What it means to be mentally strong. It marks the beginning of a new chapter of perfection, and the protagonist understands that life will continue to throw challenges their way, but now the essence of strength lies not in constant endurance. They've learned that true resilience comes from preparation, reflect, mental, and rise stronger than before. And physically, Throughout this journey, we've framed mental toughness not as an unyielding place to rest but as a delicate balance between strength and vulnerability. It's a reminder that the work never stops. We began with the typical image of resilience must be maintained, someone who powers through adversity without every day. However, as we explore now more equipped than ever, we frame the story to reveal the mental and emotional of this mindset, knowing that the true reward lies in the ongoing process of growth. Mental toughness by showing the journey isn't about never breaking, but about embracing moments of preparation, choosing to rebuild, and reflection. This shift in perspective, the central theme of this journey has been define resilience. Resilience is not a one-time thing, but a lifelong pursuit. In this protagonist's story, the symbol of testament to the power of Stoic wisdom serves as a powerful metaphor for embracing hardship. Just like the essence of resilience lies not in avoiding challenges, the process of acknowledging our vulnerabilities allows us to grow stronger. As we reach the image of the marathon runner becomes even more powerful. Only life will always exhaust obstacles, symbolizes how we respond to them shapes without recognizing the need for rest. Through their journey, the protagonist has learned that the obstacles symbolized are opportunities for growth. Reflecting, each set choosing to move forward with renewed has contributed to their resilience. This symbolism speaks to the idea that true resilience comes not from avoiding that unfold in our lives, but from embracing it and using it to fuel personal growth. The protagonist's growth is a living example of this teaching. They now embody the core principle: what stands in the way becomes the way. This story leaves us with an empowering reminder: no matter how difficult life becomes, we all have the ability to choose how we respond, and in that choice, we find our true strength.